The Electricity Minister Dr Kgosientsho Ramokgopa has arrived at Medupi Power Station as part of government's energy action plan to end load shedding. Newzroom Afrika's Ziniko Mhlaba is joining us live from there. And Ziniko Mhlaba, in giving his weekly update on Sunday, he noted that the past 2 weeks have not been impressive where energy generation is concerned. What is it that we have been hearing throughout the course of the day today?
A very good afternoon to you, Duduzile. Well, the minister, he got here as early as 9 a.m. engaging with the different stakeholders. He started off with having a briefing with management of Eskom in terms of, I'm assuming that the meeting was basically looking at the update and just being briefed about the operations of this power station. And then after, he just came out of a meeting actually with labor unions. So he was expected to address some of the challenges workers through their labor unions have been expressing to the minister in regards to the challenges faced by the employees themselves. So the minister is joining us now. So let's get a sense of what exactly that brought us here. Minister, thank you very much for taking time out to speak to us at a very long morning. We are actually now on stage for load shedding. Talk to us about, is this meeting, is this talk that you're having here in Limpopo likely going to give us any reprieve or any, is it going to allow us to mitigate through some of these stages that we've been dealing with as a country?
Well, thank you very much and good afternoon to the viewers back at home. Well, this is a scheduled visit. I'm going back to all the power stations just to get a sense of where we are relative to where we were the last time when I was here. We had agreed on a certain set of actions that needed to be taken, so I'm doing an assessment. But it's also a coincidence that we're at Medupi, and in fact we had lost 2 units. And part of the reason, the main reason why we're experiencing this intensity of load shedding stage 4 is as a result of the loss of those 2 units. Because you know that the units at Kusile, they are some of the biggest. I'm saying Medupi and Kusile, some of the biggest. I mean, each unit packs about 800 megawatts. So when we lose 2, it means we had lost 1,600 megawatts. But I'm happy to say that all the units have come back. Unit 5 has come back late yesterday, so it's now on load. So it's going to allow us to have some degree of relief. But remember that when the units had gone out, it meant that we had to go to emergency reserve. We had to use our dam levels for purposes of the pump storage facility. We had to use a lot of diesel. Now we must replenish those. So in that intervening period, as these units have come back, now we are replenishing the reserves. And I'm sure you are going to see the tapering down of the intensity of load shedding. But the message to be conveyed here is that everyone must put the shoulder to the wheel. We can ill afford a situation where units are going off, especially a unit at Medupi, because it's one of the 2 youngest power stations. There's no reason that the unit should be going out. Of course, I was taken through at length what were the technical issues, but still I don't think that's sufficient to explain where we are. So it's important that they were able to get the kind of performance that we want. Before those units went off, Medupi was giving us 80% energy availability factor, the best performing of all the units. The second best performing is Letabo, where we were just the other day. So yes, it's something that requires our attention.
Give us a sense of what is it that we can expect from today going into the height of the festive season in terms of load shedding. How are we getting up for the festive season, and in terms of load shedding levels, what can we anticipate as citizens?
Well, first is that when we go into the festive season, so there's going to be a significant tapering down of demand. A lot of your energy intensive users, your big companies, big firms are going to be closing, so demand goes down. And of course, as demand goes down, we're also going to be ramping up plant maintenance. But as these big units are coming back, really we shouldn't be seeing a significant intensity of load shedding, and in fact we are going to get a significant amount of reprieve during that period of the festive season from load shedding. But the point is that the best measure is not how we perform during the festive season, because that's where demand is really low. The best measure is how do we perform during periods of intense demand. And that's what we are planning for. But to your question, no, I see significantly lower levels of load shedding, and I see days where we are not going to have load shedding, so it should be an easier festive season, but we are preparing for when industries are going to be opening early in January to ensure that we are able to get the megawatts that we want. And that's why these visits, when I go to individual power station, understanding what each and every unit is doing. So I'm not doing an aggregate assessment. I'm not talking about all the fleet of ESCOM, which is the update I give on a weekly basis. When I'm at a station here, I want to know why is Unit 1 performing the way that is performing, what are the issues, what can the minister do to assist you. There's a lot that the head of generation is doing, there's a lot that the board is doing, and the management at the power station.
Very lastly, Minister, in terms of emergencies, as you just said that we're in this stage 4 of load shedding due to unanticipated breakdown of some units which are back right now. Going forward, in terms of any cases of emergency, do you have a plan to ensure that we don't get to go back to a particular stage of load shedding because of the emergency that has just happened in one station or one power station?
So when I say we're replenishing our emergencies, so what that means is that we're burning less and less diesel, and then we are ramping up our dam levels. And for us to be able to ramp up dam levels, we need to consume from the grid. And that's why you see there's been a heightened stages of load shedding. But when these units are coming back, and I did say 2 of them have come back, we're expecting Duva and Grill for them to come back, then you are going to see relief. But what is important is for us to build a buffer, so that even when you get to a situation where there's a cluster of units that are failing, as long as we've got sufficient buffer, then we don't have to trigger higher stages of load shedding. And that's why in the overall equation, Kusile Unit 2 is going to come end of the month, 800 megawatts. Kusile Unit 5 going to come 3rd week of December. That's the buffer we need for purposes of ensuring that we are covered during period of cluster of failure, because it's an inherent feature of all the engineering components. They are likely going to fail. But what the situation is in ESCOM is the rate of failure, which is what I want to undermine and ensure that the economy performs.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you, thanks.
Thank you very much. That's Minister of Electricity, Dr. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa, just giving us a sense of the purpose of this visit, but also give us a sense of why is it that we're currently dealing with stage 4 load shedding, but also explain to us how he's going to make sure, how ESCOM is going to make sure that in cases of emergency, how is it that ESCOM through his department or under his department is going to ensure that there's a very little or none impact at all on our lives as we continue to get into the height of the festive season, but also promising that we are unlikely to feel any levels or any high levels of load shedding going into the festive season, citing that it is due to some industries closing down for the December holiday. So that's the latest from us. Well, after these engagements with us as members of the media, Minister Ramokgopa will then address staff members of ESCOM about some of their pertinent issues, and then from there we'll be able to visit, around, do a site visit around the Medupi Power Station. So that's the latest from us as the Minister is about to engage with the other media houses, but also address the workers in this matter.
Ziniko Mhlaba, thank you very much for that report.